We have to move forward, we have to be ready. And, you know, and this goes on to the next phase of the maintenance plans. We have, I don't even know if the barge is in on the maintenance plan, where we have an idea of what we're going to do maintenance-wise, and hopefully the civil engineer can provide some recommendation on an annual basis or every other year, whatever. So look for that as well. Okay, keep going.
Mr. President, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Like you, I'm very concerned about the barge, especially with the requirement of diluting the arsenic from the ground wells. So going back to that, I kept hearing that we were in compliance with the state, but they're changing our license. Isn't our license for a surface water treatment plant?
It's water treatment. It's a water treatment plant.
I mean, but surface water has no arsenic, so that wouldn't have been an issue with the surface water treatment plant license, right?
They'll include all sources of supply in the permit.
In the future, but you were saying we were compliant with everything when we first started using the wells before this arsenic stuff came about. So if we were compliant with the surface water treatment plant that never considered arsenic, we weren't compliant with a water treatment plant that had to remove arsenic. Would that be correct?
I'm not really sure exactly what you're asking, but
okay.
But I covered the answer in my discussion of the first item A.
Well, it was the way you phrased it. I thought you were kind of going around the issue that we're a surface water treatment plant that now has arsenic problems.
No. We have different sources of supply with different levels of arsenic in them.
Okay.
And those all go through a treatment plant. And
right.
The entire process is permitted by the state.
Right, but
regardless of where the source comes from, we still have to meet the same standard.
Yeah, but I think that goes to the heart of the problem with the reporting to the state, that they didn't receive the reports, because if they don't know we have arsenic, I mean, what's the difference with what we do?
It was a different constituent, and they did receive the reports. If you review the packet, it's said in there that.
Okay, but our water treatment plant or permit is being changed?
Yes.
Okay.
Updated.
Yeah.
They're supposed to do it every 5 years.
Okay. Item D.
Okay, so item D, the district boundary map, I call it that in general. It's more than just a boundary map, but the good thing is that I did not get a very expensive engineer involved to do a bunch of engineering work on something that can be done by companies with computer-aided design software and good computers and experience. There's no need for the district to have staff to do these kind of things, but there are really good contractors out there doing this kind of work, and it's very competitive, and so we're working to try to find the right mix of not only data and mapping, but then also usefulness of the mapping for other decisions related to the district infrastructure and services and everything else. Again, the layers that we intend to have as part of this mapping is the district boundaries, which are set by LAFCO. Okay, that's what the district has to abide by in its service provision, is the legal description of the boundaries according to LAFCO. There's a sphere of influence that LAFCO also sets, which is a reasonable area of growth that is related to the district boundaries. And again, that's not our decision, that's LAFCO, which is a separate independent body that's housed with the county of Mariposa. So those would be the first two layers in this map. The next layer would be the Merced Irrigation District place of use boundary. That is available through the State Water Resources Control Board, and also with the engineering firm that produced the last map for Merced Irrigation District. They have the shape files that the consultant, the CAD consultant would use to be able to plot that. So, okay, so if you just picture you're drawing down a curtain, you've got the district boundaries, you've got the district sphere of influence, which is a little bit bigger than the boundaries. You've got the Merced Irrigation District place of use, which comes within that map. It's smaller than the sphere of influence. And then within that, then you will have the assessor parcel maps. In other words, every assessor's parcel number created within both of the counties would be a layer. That information is available. There's companies like ParcelQuest and all those that keep those parcel maps updated. We have to acquire that, and that would be integrated. So basically, you would be able to look at this map and see how every parcel relates to those other boundaries. Okay, every parcel that's created. Now, in order to determine where we're providing service, you would lay in the district infrastructure. In other words, we would have digital files of where our water lines are, where our valves are, where our fire hydrants are, and then that would be laid into it. So in other words, you would be able to see an assessor's parcel, and you would be able to see that the service connection provides an active service to it. There's a different symbol on the map for an active service versus just a non-metered stub to a property. So with those layers, then you're able to see every single property that's served. You'll be able to have an assessor's parcel number with it, and we'll be able to see where our infrastructure lies. So so we'll have a clue of where our district equipment is as it relates to the overall boundaries. That will help us deal with service requests in the future, making very accurate and definitive decisions about whether an annexation is required, whether an alternate source of water supply is required, whether they're within or without the place of use of MID. Those things would all be shown very clearly on the map. Whether someone is being provided service inside the place of use but outside of the district boundaries, those things would show up in this mapping program. At this point, the costs associated with it and the scope of work we haven't absolutely landed on yet, because like I said, there's some things that are very helpful. For example, there was a discussion about fire hydrants. Which ones have been operated? Which ones have been tested? When were they done? How did they function? There's a means to be able to get that information real time, monthly, every week, every 2 weeks, once a year, whatever it is, into that data so that it shows on that map. So in other words, the status of the maintenance or the status of operation of certain things, parcel information updated, all of those kind of things are helpful in decision making and make it really, really clear what we've got going on. So there's been no money dedicated to this project really at this point, but it is something that, again, started off being just a pretty dry engineering function and is now more of a useful maintenance and decision-making tool. And I should be able to, I got some quotes from California CAD Solutions that did a presentation recently at CSDA. But I've got to work on the scope of work. I get the cost a little bit.
Comments?
Well, I guess my only comment would be is that what you're saying when you're done, it won't be that over there. It's something bigger than that. So, and I don't exactly know.
That's a cartoon. I mean,
Okay.
it's a picture of what the lots might look like in a development project, but doesn't have, that's not the district boundary. Are you talking about up there in the corner or the big map?
I'm talking about the colorful map.
No, that doesn't come into play. It's this.
That's a land developer's dream, isn't it?
Yeah, it isn't. I'm not going to point at maps and say this is exactly what they would be, because I don't know. A lot of stuff we did ourselves. At one point, we had our own software and our own people that were working on things. But we would take the shape files, the contractor that was doing it would take the shape files.
So
to
I
the
guess
county.
my question would be then, why do we keep a cartoon up there?
I don't, it's kind of,
It still
Or it
shows.
just covers up.
It's purdy.
We don't have a better replacement.
It covers up vandalism behind it.
Comments, Russ?
Well, it seems like we've gone from light to a pretty significant thing, but as long as we're moving forward, I guess.
Yeah, comment?
I have nothing to say.
Yep. My comment is, whatever avenue we pursue, as long as we are getting an independent, legally qualified agent to produce this map. I don't want our fingers or our signatures or any influence on this map. I want it to be an independent type audit where it is something that we can hold. Impartial, thank you for the word, impartial. So that, you know, where we can get all this. And I know, I think my initial thought was we're gonna ask for a snapshot. You know, my thought was, okay, we're gonna get the district boundaries and the sphere of influence and the MID stuff. But this is what you described is a lot more complicated, and I didn't realize the benefits of having something that detailed. And so I could also see us having to go into some kind of, I'll say, maintenance plans like anything else. You have this great product, but things change. So how do we maintain that change as we go forward or into the future? So this district has a good document or something that they can rely on into the future. So I know you'll think of that as we go and say, okay, I'm sure these guys say, yeah, we can do this, but we'd like to have a service contract with you. And you know, sometimes the initial service contract, okay, we'll get you in for $5, but now the service contract is $25. So I'm sure you'll share with us what that becomes as well, as far as the changes in lines and fire hydrants or additions or whatever. So you know.
yeah, the goal would be able to have on a, I don't want to call it real time because it's not going to be real time, but a more accurate, updated basis, a very predictable basis when a service goes from inactive to active. In other words, they get a meter set, it's a new service. And then like replacing the service lines. You know, maybe it's once a month that we're sending the information to someone that's updating those maps so that we can see. You know, we can have a visual. All of these service lines have been replaced, and we're still having the leakage problem. Or boy, we sure got a hold of it by replacing these.
Right.
We can have it listed, but this shows it graphically as well. You know,
Mr. Lee.
That's what we should have been doing all along with our paper maps, clearly. You said that one of the first ones to be used would be the LAFCO service area map. Will that be the 1981 where we still have the engineered survey showing what was approved? Or one concocted with all the additions to it since then?
it's the official map from LAFCO.
Then that will be the one, the 14 pages or 11 pages of engineer's survey that still exists. You'll have a map created from that.
Whatever LAFCO.
No, listen to me. Listen to me.
Wait,
When we
wait.
were approved as a district, LAFCO commissioned a map of our
Yes,
service area.
yes.
Will that 1980 map, whose engineering survey still exists, be the map?
It will be the map that LAFCO provides us from
Campa,
LAFCO.
you just can't tell the truth,
I
can you?
don't.
You just can't tell the
Hold
truth.
on.
Danny, I'm gonna ask that we have a conversation among the board, because that's a complete spin on what I'm saying.
Right. No,
We are
I
gonna
was
get the
gonna
map
clarify.
from LAFCO.
That's
And
what-
It's a
LAFCO is
1980
gonna-
map.
Whatever is the most current map that.
There it is,
LAFCO has.
there it is, right there.
Lou?
Your fabricated map.
Lou?
That's not us,
No.
that's LAFCO.
No, that is you.
No, it is not lawful.
That is you.
That's
We're-
right.
Time out.
It's a simple question, Mr. President. It's a simple question.
You are driving, this is what you try to do, you try to drive it to get the answer you want.
Because he
Let me
doesn't
finish,
speak
Lou,
frankly.
I listen to you, now
Okay.
just be polite and bite your tongue for a minute.
Okay.
What this board is trying to do is get a good map.
No, you're
Now,
not.
Well, that's your opinion and you're
A
entitled.
good map would be starting from day one.
We will go to the agencies that have the information on file. Here's our district. That's what we're gonna have to do. We can't fabricate something.
Dear God, that's exactly what you're doing.
That's your opinion and I disagree.
The map we have right now was fabricated by Binkley, based on new annexations to the 1980. That's all garbage.
Binkley is not gonna be involved.
But they were before. Don't you understand? The maps you're using to create this one are fabricated.
We're gonna go to the state agencies.
Oh my God, state agencies. They've been
Okay,
asking
it's
for
over.
our maps for
Stop.
years.
Stop. Discussion's over. I'm stopping.
That's exactly what, see?
Stop.
You're disingenuous, Mr. President.
You're entitled to your opinion, thank you.
No, I'm entitled to the facts, and we're not
Okay,
getting them
keep
here.
going. And Lou, you had your say, now it's time to let the board continue their business. Thank you.
It's business.
Okay,
Item D, we talked about
The treatment plant operation